What's going on, everyone? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody feeling this Saturday evening? Starting a little bit late. I do apologize for the delay. Had a little bit of technical issues. Hopefully we got through that. Okay, we're gonna pray to the Google gods. We got through that and we can have a decent show here. So I appreciate you guys all hanging out with us here on Saturday at the Shop Podcast. Been another amazing week. So no guests this week. We got the trio. So we don't do the damn thing. Shout out to everybody hanging out in the chat. Hit the like button. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live. Links down below. Links up on Twitter right now. Follow us all on Twitter. All that information down in the description. Shout out K Asante. We see Blue. No frauds. I'm sure Ashtray will drop in here later. Shout out to OCD Gamer. Shout out to Shones Who Mod of the Year. Everybody hanging out with us, man. We got the usual crowd. Once again, the Shop Podcast is the place to be for gaming content on Saturday evenings, man. So come hang on with us, have some fun. We're gonna do the damn thing. So let me go ahead and get to my compadres here. It feels like it's been a long week. Feels like we've been away for quite a bit. I don't know if it's just because the news maybe slowed down a little bit, depending on kind of what you're into. But how you been, Pong? What's been going on with you? I know you said pre-game we were talking. It's been a long week outside of gaming for you personally. So how you been?
Yeah, just a little bit under the weather. So if I don't sound my usual energetic self, I do apologize. I did power through a 4.5 hour episode this morning of Living Split Screen with Steel, and I was feeling good after about the first 30 minutes. So I was doing okay, except the brain is not functioning because I've had so much broken sleep over the past week. So excuse me this evening if I do have some pausing and say some things wrong as far as names go. That's been a problem today. But other than that, it's been a fantastic week. Getting some really good gaming in when I can, and wrapping up Cyberpunk here. But Cyberpunk keeps getting bigger on me, even though I thought I was close. I found out I wasn't necessarily close because more side missions keep opening up, but I'm absolutely just loving every single moment of my time in Night City. And I'm actually happy that new side missions and stuff keeps opening up because it's just delaying the inevitable that I'm going to eventually finish it. So, but other than that, Tiny Tina's launched this week. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, absolutely ridiculous fun. Having a great time. Have been playing it over the past couple nights. Probably got maybe like 6-7 hours in already. Just the best, most pure form of Borderlands I've played in a very, very long time. 3 did not do it for me. I tried multiple times. I had a little bit better experience when it kind of was free-to-play days on Xbox, and I tried it again, but still just didn't, for some reason, click the way the old Borderlands did. This one, however, and again, I admit I'm biased because I love Tiny Tina so much as a character. This one right here feels to me like going back to the roots of Borderlands, like the Borderlands 2 days. The writing is on point. I'm laughing. The chaos, the multiplayer has a little bit of jank to it. It's not perfect. It's like most Gearbox games, but when you're in there, you got 4 people, 3 people in there. It's getting chaotic. Spells, bullets, everything going off on top of the comedy. It's just, like I said, I can't explain it other than to say that there are some video games just are pure fun, and this is it. Of course, it's a looter shooter, which they basically made that genre when they came out with Borderlands. That became the hot commodity and really pushed that genre forward. So all of that is just the best. And so I'm having a great time. If anybody's on the fence, if you're a Borderlands fan, like even if you just like the older ones, I would definitely highly recommend Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. So yeah, that's what I've been doing this week. Been a good week again. News, nothing explosive wise, but we are still getting a lot of news on a daily basis, which is cool. So still a lot of stuff we can talk about tonight. I'm ready to get down to business, PTK. Let's do this, brother.
Well, I appreciate you guys, man. We're gonna do it. You guys are gonna do a whole lot of talking. My connection's acting up tonight. I'm so sorry, you guys. So I'll probably be cutting in and out as best as I can. So go ahead, Fuzz. It's on you, brother.
What's up, everyone? Glad to be here with you guys. Been playing my usual Gran Turismo after they kind of cave. I don't know if you guys saw that it dropped down to like a 1.5 user score. It's starting to pick back up, but they decided to give everybody like $1 million in promised to do some changes or kind of turn things around, kind of like on the payout, so that way they can be a little bit better payouts starting in April. I think it's like 100% increase, so basically double what they were doing. So that's a step in the right direction. But other than that, it's double XP weekend on Insurgency, so I'll be definitely hopping on doing some of that. But man, oh man, slower news this week, but some Sony news coming up next week, and man, the rumblings of a show coming up in June. So looking forward to that. So man, can't
Oh, yeah.
wait. But
Not to create a side discussion here, Fuzzy, but
Yeah.
the biggest part of Gran Turismo is in their little apology letter that they put
Mhm.
out, their little blog post. They admitted that this is a live service game. They finally admitted what we've been talking about, that this
Yeah.
is one of those 10 games that Jim Ryan talked about. I had to chuckle to myself when Mav threw it in. I mean, I had read the article and I had picked up on it. Then Mav caught it and threw it in our
Mhm.
DMs, and I was like, "Yeah, I wonder where you could have heard about that a couple weeks ago." At least they're admitting what it is finally, and
Yeah.
at least they're trying to attempt. We just talked about this last week, right, Fuzz? That there are certain things, certain guidelines that are set in place for live service games in 2022 that you
Mhm.
kind of have to abide by. Like this is not anything new. And they were doing all the opposite stuff. And for them to realize that and come out and do this blog post, I finally had to laugh a little bit, like you and I talked about a little bit in the chat too, that it wasn't, a million credits when your
Yeah.
legendary cars are 18 million.
18 million.
Yeah, that's like the minimal effort, but at least they came out and did that and admitted what they were doing here. So that's a step in the right direction. Like
Yeah, definitely. No, but man, oh man, hey, Sony's learning. This is their they're dipping their toes into this whole games as a service,
yeah,
or
really too
live
bad they
service
don't have
stuff.
any other examples out there, Fuzz, to follow. Right?
Well, they got a good company that they just picked up. That's I would say
Yes.
one of the better ones out there for it.
Right.
So hopefully,
What if Bungie picked up
take
the
the rest of the
phone?
studios to school.
Wouldn't it be funny if Bungie's first, like one of their first things they already did was pick up the phone and get Jim Ryan and Polyphony on the phone, and we're like, "Hey guys, yeah, we just saw your post. That's not the way you do things in 2022. You may want to rethink that."
That's definitely possible that happens.
Yeah. But man,
All right, for sure.
we got some cool topics tonight. Can't wait to get the chat questions too. So let's do this.
Let's get into it. As long as my collection allow, I will be here, people. Okay, so you guys already know. So let's go ahead and dive in, man. Poll of the week. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Stanley, Ashtray, no frauds. No frauds in chat. What's up, Blue? I told you he'd be here. I told you. I promised you he would. So shout out. You guys have fun in chat, man. You know what we do here at the Shop Podcast. So poll of the week, just to grease the wheels, you know what we do here at the show. So poll of the week this week, obviously related to a little game called Starfield. So essentially, we've asked this question before, but I kind of wanted to revisit this as we get closer. And we're going to talk about this more, obviously, as the year goes on. So should Xbox do a separate standalone event, state of play like event for Starfield, or should it be part of the larger summer show? Now, there's an argument. I would argue it doesn't even matter. That would even be my argument, considering what this game is, but considering the history and what we know Bethesda likes to do. And I'm gonna let you go last, Pong, by the way. So you gotta hold out. All
Why?
right.
What?
So,
Yeah, I got to research. What's the Starfield?
absolutely.
You said
Yeah, sure.
Starfield?
Never heard of it
Okay,
before.
yeah, I got to
obviously.
look that up. I got
This
to
guy
see
Todd Howard. Yeah.
Yeah. Fuzzy, talk for a little bit because I need to do some research.
Yeah, he gotta do some research. But no, but where you at on this, Fuzz? Now, like I said, I argue it doesn't matter, right? Like you could argue it doesn't really matter. Some people are gonna argue they got to do it during the summer. Some people say it's okay, they can do it a little closer, maybe September ish. The game comes out in November. So where you at? I mean, it doesn't really matter to me.
I'm kind of in the same boat as far as I'm fine either way, whether they do like the more traditional, wait until a few months before to release it or to show any gameplay or anything along those lines. It doesn't necessarily need a big event, but I'd be cool if they did do that. I mean, my preferred way of getting updates and info about Starfield is kind of like this whole thing that they've been doing with these little Into the Starfield episodes. I kind of like those. I mean, it's a little tease here and there. You find out a little bit more about the factions. You find out a little bit more about, you know, either companions or other things that are going to be on your ship and stuff like
It's
that. So
definitely a
that,
bit more like artistic, right? Like a bit more
yeah,
cinematic as well. I like that. I like feeling like I'm in like this vlog diary type thing, you know?
yeah,
I like that.
and just having it where it's like drip fed, every other month or so. I'm cool with that. I prefer it that way. But if they do a separate show for it, that's great. I mean, we'll get to see more gameplay. We'll get to see a lot more of the back end of things as far as what to expect that you'll possibly encounter, or some of the objectives or missions and things, and just learn a good bit about it before we all dive into it, and probably a good bit of us know life it for like probably 6 months plus or more. But yeah, this game, I'm fine with the end of the Starfield episodes, but if they do, whether it's a big event or like a separate thing, or wait until just before, either one is fine. But keep those into the Starfield episodes going. I'm all for that.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the last one. That
Yeah,
Wanderer, for the Wanderer, made for the Wanderer episode. That was amazing as hell. That just real, like, fireside kind of talk, kind of like, let's just get together and just talk about this shit. Not give away really anything though, but
yeah,
give some nuggets, right? Nuggets that's really all we want as gamers. Nuggets, right? Chat. Like, I mean, I'm cool with that. Like, I'm cool with the nuggets, and I agree, Fuzz. I think the more curated way is the way to go for a game like Starfield, because you're building the lore, right? Like, you're building the lore, you got to build the world. It's such a large game to take in. You got to piece by piece, right? Like, that makes sense. So for a
yeah.
game that size, so Pong, I'm gonna let you I'm gonna let you run with this one. This is yours. Like, we're
Hmm.
relay racing this thing here, man. But no, like, once again, I'd argue it does not matter, Pong, right? Like, there's a genuine argument for that, right, chat? Like, that it does not matter if it's standalone or it's part of the summer event, and they could do both, right? Like, I'm okay with that. I could, little, maybe throw it in there at the summer show and then do a standalone, a little closer to release. So, Pong, I'm sure you've thought about this, a
Well, I
little
mean,
bit, right? Maybe a
from the
little
quick
bit.
Google search I just did, this looks like it looks like it's got a little bit of traction to it. It looks like this game is from a small indie developer called Bethesda, and this new face on the scene, Todd Howard. So this is going to be an interesting one. I don't know why we're asking if it needs its own show. Normally, we don't do that with indie games, but I guess maybe a lot of people really are interested in this one.
Cap, cap, at the highest form, cap.
I'm surprised you were able to do that without chuckling things
Exactly.
in the
Holy
beginning.
shit. You good.
Look. It really doesn't matter. You're right, PTK. How there's arguments to be made here, and I brought this up a couple times of whether or not they maybe do an independent show for Starfield. Look, there's a couple different ways you could look at this. Starfield, whether they put it, let's say they keep it for the E3 show, whatever week that is, and they either start off the show or they end it with Starfield. Either way, it's going to dominate the conversation, which is obviously a good thing. But at the same time, depending on what Microsoft, Xbox, and all the studios are ready to announce, that can also take some shine off of some other games,
True.
right? Now, I'm not
True.
saying that the entire world is holding its breath for Starfield. Okay. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the game is so big, the hype behind it at cyberpunk levels. And again, I mean that in the best way possible for anybody here. Obviously, everybody here
Oh yeah,
knows
yeah.
how I
We
feel
know.
about cyberpunk. I'm just saying that about the lead up hype, right? We're talking about Starfield is reaching some of that level, even though it's going to be exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. Again, Bethesda, Todd Howard, brand new IP, first time in 2 decades, we're getting a brand new IP. This is special. So it's going to be huge if they keep it on the E3 setting and they have it mixed in either, like I said, opening or ending the presentation. So I don't think it matters there, right? I think it's going to be big there. Now, it's so big and so important that let's say Xbox and Microsoft, Microsoft Xbox, they have so much to show at E3 that they want to show the world. We know there's a lot of stuff they could be ready to actually finally give us a glimpse of, whether it's Compulsion's game, whether it's Avowed, In Exile's game, whatever the case may be. They might want to give a blowout of Redfall if it's going to be ready to rock and roll in the summertime, right? So they might want to give that some more presence as well. So if you don't want to take away from that because you already have so much content, Starfield could carry an entire presentation, let's say just prior to E3, your E3 presentation. If you wanted to build the hype to unbelievable levels, come out and say, guess what? We decide we're going to give Starfield its own presentation and it's coming out in May, right? That would be unbelievable because people would be like, what do you guys have to show at E3? If you're giving Starfield its own presentation, what does that mean? Like, we have a full slate.
So you say Starfield before E3?
Yeah,
not after?
Yeah.
Not
Give
after?
That hype. Not after. No. If it's ready to show. I mean, again, that's going to be up to Todd. I would do it beforehand and blow everybody out of the water with a full boat presentation, whatever, 30-minute presentation, bring out all the big guns, Todd Howard out on stage, doing his thing with the controller in hand, playing the game, full production value, Starfield Day, right? Starfield Day. And you give that, right? And all of a sudden you're blowing people's minds, right? And now everybody's talking about Starfield for the next month. And then all of a sudden, it's time for E3. Everybody in Xbox Nation is already over the moon because you showed off Starfield. Starfield's there. And then everybody, again, starts talking about, well, if they showed Starfield on its own, what do they have planned for E3? You come in with E3, you match last year's presentation or even go beyond last year's presentation. Same kind of cadence, same kind of pacing. You blow through everything. You give a blowout to, like, let's say Redfall, like I already talked about. You kind of show off motorsport for the first time, and your E3 is as big as last year, even without Starfield. And you've got all that momentum now rolling into the fall as these games start getting ready to release, right? Everybody's talking Xbox nonstop, right? And then let's say right around fall time, there start rumblings, Activision Blizzard deals ready to close, that the government's going to sign off on it. You start getting those rumblings right before we get into the fall season or into the fall season. Look, you just have this huge momentum train rolling, right? Nonstop. That's the way I would do it. Now, I can hear arguments too. You do E3 and then you present Starfield afterwards. But the problem with that being is, again, it's only if it's ready to show. If it's not ready to show, don't show it. That's fine. But let's just assume E3 comes along, Starfield's not there. Even if you say we're going to show Starfield at a later date, more and more rumblings are going to start to happen. Questions are going to start being asked. It's, again, that's not Xbox's problem, fault, anything. It's not Bethesda's problem, fault, anything. But do you want that cloud still hanging around? Like, is this going to be ready? Are they going to delay it? Are we not going to see this till 2023? What's going on here? Do you want that talk to continue is my problem with it. Right?
So I get what you're saying. If they do it afterwards, that's going to carry over. Those questions are going to be asked after E3, like, where is Starfield at? And that's going to come up. I get that argument. I really do.
Yeah.
No, that's tough. That makes
it is tough. That is tough. But like I said, I think at the end of the day, PTK, you're absolutely correct. It really does not matter, right? Again, selfishly, for me, and for the rest of the Starfield fans, I would love for it to have a Starfield Day where they just give it its own shine and just, blow everybody out of the water. I would love that. And the earlier, the better, obviously. Again, that's selfish, right? That's me. I just want to see it. I want everybody to shut up about it. As far as we haven't seen gameplay, all that kind of nonsense that's going on, and everybody be on board, hype that this is the game that we were expecting. This is looking absolutely insane. Todd Howard looks like he's done it again, him and his team.
You know what? That's another thing too. I'm wondering when, like, reviews are going to come out and how early they're going to allow that stuff to come out, because that's going to really be the first indication of, like, what we're going to get is when we start to hear, like, rumors of, like, reviews and things, and, like, people getting their hands on it and saying, like, I'm doing a review, like, how people get those cryptic tweets, like, I'm reviewing something I didn't think I would, or something crazy, whatever.
Something,
whatever.
I can't believe I got this already, kind of thing. Yeah. It will be interesting. Again, it's all going to come down to timing, right? At the end of the day, if Todd and his team need that full right up till, be right to go gold, let's say end of October. If they need that, then so be it. They need it. And again, don't show it till you're ready to give it the best light possible. Obviously, I think we're all in agreement there. It's just that those questions are going to continue to rise. I don't care about it per se, other than it's annoying because people like to make this out to be like this is something new or different. Like we've never had this before. Why are they holding back showing us gameplay? Again, it's intellectual dishonesty, or it's willful ignorance if you don't understand how Bethesda works this game. Okay, so that's my problem with it. It's just more annoying than anything. But again, if they need that full time, give them the full time. I really don't care. At the end of the day, I already know we're going to see it when we're ready. But if it's ready to rock and roll, if his team is just simply polishing and polishing and polishing, spit shining everything at this point, come early summer, and they're ready to rock and roll early prior to E3, I say give it its own day and go for it, because it would be huge. It would be absolutely, again, talk about getting all eyes on your game at one time and people from around the world tuning in to see what this game is looking like. That'd be a day in itself. Again, that will happen at E3, but you could create a whole nother day just around Starfield if you do it by itself.
And that's my thing is where are they going to showcase this game at? Because it is arguably their biggest game this year. It is arguably the biggest game coming out this year. I know that's blasphemy right now to say with Elden Ring.
Oh yeah,
I can't say it's going to be bigger than Elden Ring because Elden Ring is an anomaly.
Yeah,
Elden Ring doesn't happen ever. So it's crazy for me to even say that. But all I'm saying is that this is a huge game. It's a very, very large game, an important game for Todd, for Bethesda, for Xbox going forward. This is kind of the flag, right? Kind of one of those flagship moments, the top of the hill moments where people are going to look at this and say, okay, this is where the change starts. So
current gen only too, which is
current gen only. So that's another big deal as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see. And then, like you said, that depending on when they decide to showcase it, that tells us what's going on with E3. That'll give us an idea as to what could we see at E3. So this all kind of ties in. A lot of stuff to play around with. So chat, I see you guys all talking down in there. What's up, OCD, Sheen Snow, Stanley, everybody hanging out only on Xbox. What's up, brother? How you guys all doing? Hit the like button, subscribe if you have not already. Let everybody know we're live here at the Shop Podcast on Twitter. Link is already in the description below. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us. So we're gonna go ahead, Fuzz. It's on you, bro. So no. We already. Oh wait, what happened to Fuzz?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. You good over there, brother?
Yeah.
All right. So we had already. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, we already talked about like the whole into the Starfield thing. That's the way to go for me. But yeah, everything Pong said. Hey, if they have it where it's beforehand, I think that's like a double dose at that point because you have the the largeness of Starfield itself. And then that means that they have one heck of a show lined up for E3. So
yeah,
that would be an awesome way to kind of do it.
It'll give us a good indication, and that's crazy to even think about at this point. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. Shout out, chat, man. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Fifth Horseman, what's up, bro? Shout out to chat. You guys are always awesome. So this was kind of a fun one, and he talked a little bit about the game phone. Kind of threw us a little bit of a curveball this week.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. So, new studios. What are you excited for? What are you excited for? This is kind of interesting. So many new studios. People talk about acquisitions, but there's so many studios being open. Just as many being purchased. There are more being open. So, where are you at on this? Any new studio you have your eye on, Paul?
Yeah, this was tough. We were talking about this in the background beforehand because I was kind of caught off guard by this question because I started thinking about him like, is he talking about like across like the everything? Because like, wow, this is like a big deal. So I'm actually going to give two here. Okay. One is not necessarily a new studio, but it will be their first game that we are supposedly going to see this year. So I guess I will put them into this new studio because we don't know what to expect. Right. So, and I'm going to go with Embark Studios number one. Okay.
You took my damn answer.
Out of all the studios, that's the one you had, really? Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
man.
Okay,
I get the
I'll leave that one
no,
for you.
no,
I'll
no. Go
just
ahead, go ahead. No, no, go
no, no,
ahead.
no,
For real, go
no.
ahead.
Arc Raiders has been on my radar for a very long time. You got the tweet from back in 2019, I want to say 2018, 2019, with Phil actually visited Embark Studios. This is a veteran team from across the industry who came together, and Arc Raiders is going to be a free to play, obviously a multiplayer game. But the last showing or the first showing that they had where they kind of really showed it off looks so freaking amazing. I really can't wait for Arc Raiders. And they also supposedly have another project in the works as well. Embark Studios is one to watch. Again, if you go look at the people that are there, you're talking about some really good talent
A
that
lot
has
of
a
dice devs, former
lot of
dice.
dice devs, right? That again, and you saw the trailer, there was a lot of that chaotic battlefield to it, right? And that's probably what caught my attention because it just looked really cool. And again, I personally don't mind free to play games. I don't mind games that come out that are that way, that are monetized in other ways. I don't care. I get a chance to download it and play the base part of that game and find out if I like it. And again, there's a lot of competition in that space these days. So Embark is going to have to come
Yeah,
with something different. And what I saw in that trailer was different from a lot of different, a lot of games that we do see in that mold these days. It had the aesthetic to it was freaking cool. I love the weapons that we did get a chance to see. It looked like I just said a lot of that dice DNA is being put into this game. That there's going to be a lot of chaos going on with big giant, robot type
yeah. We saw
enemies
that
and
like that
yeah,
spider looking thing from The
yeah, the big
Incredibles,
spider
almost.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I'm excited for Embark Studios, and then my second one is going to be Humanoid Studios. Casey Hudson. Um, look, Casey's Casey's resume speaks for itself. Now I know he's, been a few different places, left a few different places, but Casey, again, his resume being Mass Effect, being one of the main figures at BioWare, the GM of BioWare at one time. Um, Look, he is attracting some of the best talent. And then on top of that, they come on and announce that their first game is going to be a AAA sci-fi game. We talked about it many times here. Mass Effect trilogy, one of the best trilogies ever created. Mass Effect, one of the best sci-fi games, period, ever created. One of the best universes ever created. Anytime you have the man who was one of the figureheads for that type of development and you give him a new studio and he's pulling in talent from across the industry to join him, he's got some former BioWare people there that he's worked with previously, on top of some people from, I believe, some of the Sony studios as well. I mean, we're talking about he is pulling in some of the great talent. I'm all in. And Humanoid Studios is one to watch and to see when they are ready to give us a teaser on this new game. But yeah, Humanoid Studios, Casey Hudson's got me excited for the future. We already have a great list of sci-fi games coming this generation. And we're eating good. Again, sci-fi is one of those genres that has been done, but not always well. And a lot of it due to technical limitations on things, because when you get into space, when you get into complex machinery, all that kind of stuff, and flying and gravity and planets and all that, it's very hard to pull off with limited
Yeah.
with limited technology as far as our consoles go, PCs, etc. So I think we're finally getting to that point, just like we just got done talking about Starfield. That's why Todd Howard and his team waited on Starfield for nearly 2 decades, was till the technology got to the point where his vision could come to life. I think this is the time and point where we start really seeing sci-fi flourish, because now everybody, they have all these grand ideas in their heads. Well, they're getting to the point where the limitations are less and less and less when it just comes down to the hardware. And so I think these visions are going to start to come to life. And Casey Hudson obviously has another great idea, and he's bringing people in from all over the industry to join him. I'm excited for Humanoid Studios for sure. So that's where I'm at.
Awesome. So I mean, you did take Embark, and I'm gonna say Embark as well. That was the one that was on my radar. Obviously, you guys know I'm a big Destiny Division 2 fan, free to play. Like I said, I don't mind. I'm right with you on that, Pong. I have no issues with the whole free to play games being monetized in different ways. The game looked interesting, it looked exciting. I'm into the aesthetics, like you said, the helmets, the gear that they're wearing. They look like pilots, but they were kind of jumping around, kind
Yeah.
of jetpackish, kind of, but it looked kind of like an 80s sci-fi movie. I don't know if you got the same vibe as me,
Yeah, yeah,
Pong, but
80s and
it
even some
was
60s stuff in
60s,
there.
70s. Yeah, it
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
look like future, like, like 30,
yeah,
25 or something. It
right.
looked like, maybe old future, like old meets new kind of. I don't
Correct.
know. I don't
Yep.
know. It gave me a lot of different vibes, and I was excited seeing a trailer. I love co-op. That's what I play majority. Those are the games I have the most fun with. Fuzz, my longtime co-op partner, he'll
Mhm.
tell you we play everything together that's co-op pretty much. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got my eye on them. There's a bunch of other studios as well. I didn't do enough research, I'll be honest with you. So I'm gonna pull up and I might do actually a separate video on this because there's a lot of new studios, man. We've gotten so many announcements. They're making so many games. Sony has a ton of them. We haven't even talked about any of those that are doing
Yeah,
third party
Haven.
stuff.
Yeah.
Jade
Haven,
Raymond. Yeah.
Jade Raymond. They got a
Yeah.
couple other, bunch of talent out there making a lot of great stuff. So I'm gonna throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion. Anybody you got your eye on? New
Oh,
dev out there, Fuzz?
yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a good handful of them I have here. Uh, uh, Pong had already mentioned two of them with Embark and then Humanoid, but one that's kind of a little bit older that's been quiet and it has some of Rockstar veterans and they've also stole some Dice veterans and
Oh, I
some
know where you're going with
places,
this.
some devs from other places, and that's Build a Rocket Boy. I'm curious to see what their open world sandbox game is going to be like. Um, I heard that a lot of people think it's going to be more of like a GTA clone, but I think it's going to be kind of like a more of a superhero or special abilities kind of sandbox game. And I'm kind of curious when they're going to finally start showing some of the work that they've been putting together. And I think I mean, they made it official in 2018, but it's kind of been since 2015 that they've been, at least the main head guy there has been working on stuff kind of in the background ever since he left Rockstar. So real curious to see what they unveil when they finally do unveil something other than what the one guy did from Dice, like when he was just showing some of the stuff he's been working on.
Yeah.
Another one is Striking Distance, and that one is because of Callisto Protocol. I think it's basically a lot of the people that left from EA when Dead Space that studio kind of
Yeah,
closed.
Visceral, right? Visceral.
Yeah, so I want to see what they can do beyond just Callisto Protocol, but Callisto Protocol has got my interest peaked. Another one that has been making quite a few rounds on social media, and it's a genre that's been kind of missing a go-to game in a while is Steel City Interactive, the ones that do ESBC boxing.
Oh
That
yeah.
game that's I can't wait for that thing to come out. I
Oh,
mean,
dude. And
if
they got
EA
some
doesn't
big
want to do,
boxers signed up too. I think they got Canelo. I think
oh
they even
yeah,
have maybe Tyson Fury. Somebody. It's a
I mean,
big.
they have. I think he has something like 60 or 70 names already signed up. They're going to have the base game is going to have at least 55 of those, and then the others will kind of be like add-on DLC type of thing. But I'm real anxious and can't wait for that thing to come out.
Dude, that
So
might be like an esports league, dude. If depending on how good it is, that may turn into some type of like esports,
yeah,
situation there.
I mean, hey, if EA doesn't want to do a boxing game or doesn't want to do
Well,
another
they
fight
are
night,
right. Didn't they
this
announce
is
they're doing something?
well,
EA trying to come out and steal the thunder.
well, they'll wait until like they'll ESPC will announce like a release date, and then that's when they'll say, "Oh yeah, we're bringing Fight Night back in like a year or two." But I think the last one here, and it's not that they're a new studio, but they are going through like a rebranding. It's one of the games that I'm hooked on right now, and it's primarily because like Call of Duty and Battlefield haven't really hit the marks as far as like their launches of their most recent games, and they've kind of just reiterated the same stuff over and over again. So New World Interactive, they have a few first-person shooter games, but Insurgency is the main one that I'm paying attention to. But they also have like Day of Infamy as well. So anybody that's looking for something a little bit more tactical than your Call of Duty or Battlefield, I would say these are the guys to watch. And if they continue reiterating what they're working on as far as insurgency, I think that will be eventually like a good alternative to Battlefield or Call of Duty or something along those lines. And I forget the studio that's working on 6 Days of Fallujah, but that's another one that can't wait for them to at least have a release date. I know there's been some ins and outs with the publishers that they were working with before, just because of the controversy of the story. But I think it's one of those games that just it needs to come out. Whether it's I understand some people's misgivings with the I guess the not really the plot, but what it's based off of. But all things considered, I would say it's a worthwhile story that needs to be told. And if it comes out in game form with stuff that's at least going to be closer to reality and not just like a propaganda type of thing, I think it will be a worthwhile thing for people to take a look at and
Yeah.
love some of the stuff that they've shown as far as the dynamic lighting and the random generation for like the town. Like you'll have the same key like reference points as far as like the water tower or the mosque and things like that, but a lot of the buildings and how they're structured will be randomly generated each time you play, so you have that um not
Fresh.
really element of surprise, but like that element of not knowing what's behind the next door or what's inside that building type of deal. Much like the soldiers that went through that, pretty much clearing building to building, just they didn't have any real intel as far as what was in some of those places or how they were laid out and things. So it should make for interesting gameplay. So those are just a handful of the ones I'm interested
There's
in.
a ton, bro. There's a
Yeah.
lot. Like when I just did a quick Google search and I put up about 10 or 12 here right in front of
Mhm.
me. So there's a ton, man. Like we talk about the acquisitions and
Yeah.
people worry about Tencent and some of those other larger companies snatching up some of these, studios, but it's just as many are getting snatched up. There's another one or two being open. And you talked about this Pong Golden Age of Gaming. That includes these new smaller developers as well. We're getting so much growth in that areas as well. So
Well, one of I guess the original founder for Dead Labs, and I don't know, if, I think it was either one of Boomstick shows that he had made mention of this, but like, I think when he was talking to Jeff Grubb, they were saying that when Dead Labs was acquired, like within a year, that founder was like, you know what? I got the money. I'm gonna start a new studio. So it was like he jumped ship shortly after they got the acquisition and created a whole new studio. And I think he stole some of the talent from there. So it's like not that it's really hurt Dead Labs because they've still been doing updates on State of Decay 2, but I'm pretty sure it may have slowed down a little bit of the State of Decay 3 momentum as far as the you know, losing some of the talent to him starting
yeah,
this new studio. But a lot of times when there's acquisitions, some of the people leave and go and start something else. So there's always going to be more studios popping up left and right.
yeah. No, there's definitely it's so much growth in the industry right now, Chad. Once again, you guys let us know. Shout out to Steel Rain. What up, bruh? I see you still. You see Pong hanging out with us, man. Appreciate you guys, man. Shout out to Fifth Horseman, only on Xbox. Guys always hanging out. Psycho. Thank you, bro, for hanging out with us tonight as well. So yeah, once again, man, lots of new devs. And Chad, let us know who you guys excited for. I did see Jasper said what High Wire Games, Marty O'Donnell Studios working on 6 Days to Fallujah. There's a ton.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, there's a ton out there. Just do a quick Google search and you'll see the industry is in a great place right now. So we're gonna go ahead and keep this thing going. And just to let you guys know early, we will be taking chat questions. So if you guys want to just start throwing those questions in chat for us early, that would be great. So that way we have some, kind of lined up before we end the show. To kind of round out, give us enough time to, kind of hang out with you guys tonight. But we're going to talk a little bit about Game Pass, right? So we've touched on this at certain points in times during Game Pass's like lifetime, right? Something happens with Game Pass, a milestone, something like that. So recently, there was some information that came out talking about Game Pass's growth. And once again, here we are, Pong. Here we are, right?
Yep.
Same place we were last year. Last time we asked this question.
It's not
Here we are.
sustainable, PTK. It's not sustainable.
Here we are.
This is all marketing speak.
We're running in place, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently. So I'm gonna let you run away with this, Pong, just to frame this We have hard data as well. You guys could do your research. Just go. You can search it on Twitter. You can do a quick Google search as well. There's some information, some slides, graphs, Excel type stuff if you're into that. But yeah, go ahead, Pong.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of came up during GDC this week. Stu and I talked about this morning. I'll actually bring in some of the hard data to, again, get over it. Clown show. Microsoft, Xbox, they're not going to release hard numbers for you guys, so you guys can't do all your little math that you want to do. You're going to have to deal with these percentages that they drop to us. You can call it market speak, you can call it BS, you can call it whatever you want to. At the end of the day, Xbox, Microsoft, Phil, the entire team are happy with where Game Pass is. It's not losing money. It's outperforming some of their expectations. I'm sure they'd love to see more growth. What company would not love to see more growth? But at the end of the day, it's been very successful for them. And shout out to Idle Sloth. I did it this morning too. Idle Sloth is a great follow on Twitter if you're not already. The man collects news from across the industry and reposts it, and he'll take the slides and stuff and put them in an easy read form.
He will also confirm his resources.
Yes, he will confirm his resources. He links where the information comes from a lot of the time, almost all the time, if he's got it available. So yeah, shout out to Idle Sloth. But yeah, members play 40% more titles after joining Game Pass. Of course they do. We talk about this constantly. Again, every Game Pass conversation sounds like an advertisement because any of us that have joined that ecosystem absolutely think it's the best deal in gaming. And of course, when you join that ecosystem, even if you don't intend on playing more games, you look at those 400 plus titles.
That curiosity, man.
Curiosity. You got friends playing titles that you may not have been interested in. It's a download away for people. It costs you nothing outside of your monthly membership. Of course, people play more games. It's been always what we've talked about here and why it's so successful. Members play games across 30% more genres after joining. Yes, that's a part of that first stat, right? When you start trying out games, all of a sudden, a game that you have no interest in, but a buddy of yours says, hey, it's really good. You should check it out. Yeah, but I don't really like that genre. Yeah, but it's in Game Pass. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Let me download it real quick and try it out. How many stories across Twitter have we heard of people trying brand new genres that they never thought? The biggest one out there, the biggest example I can give you is Yakuza. When Yakuza dropped into Game Pass, all of a sudden, a bunch of Xbox people who may have never owned a Sony system or maybe owned Sony systems, but never wanted to spend the money on a Yakuza because they didn't think that they would like it. They just didn't like whatever it was that they were seeing or heard or whatever the case may be. They all went out and tried Yakuza, and story after story came out of like people going, man, this Yakuza franchise is pretty dang cool. This is pretty fun. Yep, it sure is. That's why it's so big, right? That's what happens when you have a service like Game Pass. It's incredible. An average of 8.3 times more player lift after a back catalog game joins Game Pass. Yep. Yes, sir. Guess what? That game you've been holding out on, or that game that's old to some people that you never had a chance to play, or maybe you got that nostalgia and it drops in the Game Pass and you're like, you know what? No risk. I don't have to put in anything more for it. It's just part of my monthly subscription. Of course, people download those games. They play them. They're brand new for them. Or hey, it's just going back to something you loved at one point and you want to try it out again. It's in Game Pass. It's easy. It's a download away. That means a lot, especially to third-party publishers. Again, that's why so many people that we hear putting their games, whether big publishers or whether indie devs, love the engagement that comes with the Game Pass. Look, Game Pass members 4 times more likely to stream on Twitch. We have seen this effect. Guess what? Twitch streamers, they're always looking for new stuff, the hottest thing, or maybe just something off the wall that catches people's attention. Guess what? Game Pass has got 400 plus titles. Of course. Again, a download away. All of a sudden, you got a brand new game. Maybe everybody's playing it. maybe not a lot of people are playing it, but you put it up and you start streaming it, it attracts people. Of course, that makes sense. Game Pass members spend 50% more than similar users. This is where the Netflix comparison differs. Netflix does not have any other revenue streams outside of just that monthly payment. Game Pass, on the other hand, guess what? Besides people saying otherwise, we Game Pass subscribers still purchase full games. We actually buy different full price games. We buy DLC. We purchase cosmetics, all these little hooks that these games put into their systems nowadays. We still partake. And when you're in Game Pass and you download a game and it hasn't cost you anything, you are more likely to spend some money on that game if you enjoy it. That's the way this works.
Yep.
Happened to me this year. Rainbow Six Extraction, again, budget gamer, so I do watch what I spend, but Rainbow Six Extraction dropped into Game Pass. Had no intention of buying that game outright. I was going to wait for a Ubisoft sale before I jumped into it. Instead, shows up in Game Pass at the beginning of the year. Me, Mav, Steele, Caitlin, we had different people in there. We all jump in Extraction. All of a sudden, we are absolutely having a blast. Better than expectations. Next thing I know, within 24 hours of playing that game, I already bought a gun skin for $5. That's how it works. Because I said, you know what? Didn't have to pay for this game, but I'm enjoying the hell out of it. And dang, that gun skin looks really cool. And I know I'm going to be playing this game for at least a little bit longer. $5, fine, I'll buy it. That's what happens in Game Pass. Revenue streams everywhere, not just that monthly revenue to Microsoft and Xbox, not just the upfront money they give these developers or publishers to put their games in there. These games continue to provide revenue throughout the life, right? That's how it works. Independent developers, indie developers have seen triple-digit growth driven by Game Pass. Talked about this a little bit this morning on Living Split Screen. This is the big one. This is why you hear indie developers almost across the board just praise Game Pass, because as an indie developer, it is so hard to gain traction, especially in the golden age of gaming. There are so many people. We just talked about all these new studios popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
There is so much competition, right? There is so many games coming out, period. It is very hard for indie developer. It always has been. Even back in the old days, it was hard. That's why Xbox Arcade, when it launched, was such a big deal, because it gave a spotlight to these indie developers. Well, guess what? Game Pass does that to a different degree. You get your game in there and you sign a deal to throw your game into Game Pass, like as an indie developer. All of a sudden, you get that a weekly announcement that Xbox Wire puts out. New games coming to Game Pass this week, or the monthly one. New games, upcoming games coming next month. Your title as an indie developer is right next to the biggest publisher games that are maybe coming to Game Pass that month or that week. Your title is getting that spotlight, and people are looking at that and going, well, I was expecting Guardians of the Galaxy looks awesome, but what's this indie title over here? Man, that looks kind of cool. It's coming to Game Pass. Heck yeah, I'm going to download that. I'm going to try that thing out. Why not? No risk, right? That's what happens with indie developers. So not only do they get whatever contract they work out with Xbox, and Phil's talked about that many times, every contract is kind of different depending on the wants and needs of the developer. They go ahead and customize those contracts. But at the same time, they get all this free marketing push. Their games are right alongside the biggest games, the biggest titles, and people do go through those lists and find these smaller games that all of a sudden blow up, and people are like, this is a great game. I would have bought this game. I never would have put time into this game, but here we are today because of Game Pass, right? All these stats go to everything that we've always talked about, whether it's here on other shows or just in general. Like I said, talking about Game Pass from those of us that think it's the best value in gaming, which is the majority of us that are invested in this ecosystem, winds up sounding like an advertisement. But it's not meant to be an advertisement. It's just because there's no denying what Game Pass does, not only for the developers, not only for the publishers, not only for Xbox and Microsoft, but what it does for us as gamers. And again, specifically myself as a grazer, Bro, this is Christmas nonstop for me. I get to have so many different experiences that I never would have imagined in my entire lifetime through Game Pass. So it's special to me. That's why I get hyped about it. And I'm so glad that Phil, obviously Phil and Sarah Bond talked about it in their GDC sit down.
Yeah.
A lot of it was business. It wasn't a gamer focused kind of sit down, but it
Yeah.
was more business, but it was the philosophy that they're talking about. And what's interesting, we're not going to talk about it here, but I talked about it this morning. Seal and I kind of covered it. What's interesting is now that Phil is the CEO of Microsoft Gaming, right? His vision is changing. It's growing, right? It's growing because he talked about it. We've heard for all these years is Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. We all know it. We all love it. It's the vehicle that's driving this ecosystem forward. But it's funny with the sit down with Sarah Bond, Phil Olsen started talking about, well, yeah, Game Pass is one avenue, but we still are keeping open all these other ways that developers and publishers can bring content into Xbox and that gamers can go ahead and experience said content. It's not just about Game Pass. Game Pass is one way, but we've got all these other things going on. That was an interesting part that came out about it. But obviously, the information about Game Pass is not surprising to those of us that have been on this train for a long time. It's just great that they keep putting these kind of stats out to keep telling people, look, whatever you think about Game Pass, if you don't think it's the greatest thing ever, if you think it's hurting the industry, if you think that it's hurting developers and all this kind of publishers, and it's going to crash the industry as a whole, guess what? We're here to tell you a totally different story here. And I think that's what those stats and numbers kind of said.
Yeah, it's something that once again we've talked about kind of at certain points, kind of in its lifetime. We picked certain times in particular to talk about Game Pass, but it's phenomenal deal, the best deal by far in gaming. And shout out to people once again. Throw your questions in chat as well. You guys are going to pretty much take over the rest of the show for the time that we are here. So just go ahead and just flood the chat with your questions, whatever you guys want to talk about, whatever we didn't get to already. If you guys want to elaborate on something we got to already, throw it in the chat. We already got a couple in there. Shout out to people hanging out with us right now. But throw them questions in the chat, man. Let us know how you guys feel about what's going on. If we missed anything, we'll do our best to get to it. So we're gonna go ahead and get this over to you though for us. Obviously, Game Pass being a huge deal. It's a big. I think it's a big part. Anybody has an Xbox obviously is invested in Game Pass. I would think at this point they're kind of hand in hand. I don't think you have one without the other. At this point, they did a great job making sure people know that like they're synonymous. So, where you at on this, Fuss?
I think the biggest thing now is that as, when it comes to Game Pass, all of I guess the Twitter streets have been ablaze about how it's bad for gaming and all that stuff, and come to find out it's actually probably some of the best moves that some of these smaller devs can make as far as getting their game in front of a lot of gamers or in front of an audience that not only is going to play the game but either buy the DLC or buy the game itself. That may not have even bothered to even give it a second thought type of thing prior. There's just so many like little benefits to like the way Game Pass is set up that I don't know why so many people argue about how it's bad when the benefits outweigh all of the possible negative things that people try and bring up. And it's funny considering now we hear as of next week, although, there aren't really any PlayStation insiders out there, but, we have good word that, PlayStation's going to unveil their, I guess, nearest competitor to a Game Pass, which is going to be like a PS Plus and PS Now kind of merge. But I don't know. I think the bigger thing now is we have to look at these services and use them for the benefits that we can get. And I can understand if you want to own your games, that's great. Why not own the games at a discount? I mean, yeah, sure, you can wait for a sale, which sometimes is, and depending on the developer, it could be a month later, or it could be 3 or 6 months later. But pretty much when things are in Game Pass, a majority of them you'll have it within the days or the minute that it's announced that it can be downloaded. So even pre-orders can get a discount. Some of them, like I think MLB, they wait until like the 30-day range before it's discounted. But still, there's just so many benefits to it, and like kind of like what Pong had touched on as far as seeing your friends play games that you wouldn't have bothered with type of deal. It's a bit of FOMO, and it's also a bit of, hey, but why is so many people on my friends list playing this game? What is it that they've encountered or have come across that I'm completely missing out of type of thing? There's just so many, I guess, like little benefits that add up to make this great deal. And yeah, it sounds like an advertisement. Yeah, it probably should be, but when you look at like I think the only thing it's missing now is a family plan, which I keep on hearing rumors that they're going to possibly do something along those lines, which would be greatly beneficial to my household. But as it stands now, Game Pass Ultimate with the cloud, with PC, with console, not having to buy the same game twice in a lot of cases where if you've already bought it on PC, you already own it on console or vice versa. It's a great savings because something like Flight Simulator, yeah, I bought it on PC first, but now even though yes, I understand it would be in Game Pass anyway, but if I want to mod the game and things like that on PC, you kind of need to own it as opposed to just doing the Game Pass version because it's kind of hard to crack those unless you're going to work on like patches for it every time they update or patch the game type of deal. So
Yeah.
any mods that you would have done pretty much go out the window with each up and coming update. But yeah, there's just so many benefits to the program. And for all of those that were out there saying, oh yeah, it's bad for gaming, it's bad for devs, I want to pay devs more money by paying the extra $10 for games, and
Yeah.
coming to find out, it just goes into Sony's pocket and not in the dev's pocket. Um, it just seems funny to me, and it'll be funny to see how things go next week, where we'll probably hear, oh yeah, it's great to have these services now. It benefits the devs, like a lot of people have been saying all along.
Well, we'll
But
see. And that's a
yeah,
great segue. That's a great
yeah,
segue.
we'll definitely see come next week. But yeah, it's great to have, even though yeah, people are going to say, what's the source? Oh, it's directly from Microsoft. Yeah, that's fine. You know what? One of the things that you have to realize is you can't lie to your shareholders. You can't lie if you're a public company, because that's stuff that definitely gets you shut down or into courts where you lose billions of dollars. Yes, I understand they're $1 trillion company or a couple of $1 trillion company, but a lot of those public things that they've unveiled, and yes, they can't show all of raw numbers, but for the most part, the ones that they are showing kind of echoes what a lot of people have been saying all along. So it's time to kind of just look at it as a benefit, and if it's not for you, it's not for you. But maybe your preferred platform will have something along those lines here soon. That's all I
Yeah.
got.
Oh no, absolutely, and that's a great way. We're gonna branch off here. A couple great topics already in chat. Shout out to Gabo. Shout out to Ashtray. Once again, chat. Throw your questions in the chat. We're gonna let you guys run the show pretty much from this point forward. Just going forward, we're gonna let you guys rock out with us here for however long we can. So if you guys are coming in, appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're brand new here. We appreciate your time. So we'll try and make it as entertaining as possible. So we'll get to this question. So Gabo, actually, if I can get back to you here, Fuzz, but I want to talk about this a little bit too. He wanted you to elaborate on the whole family plan thing. Now, me being a OG gamer here, not showing my age too much, but obviously, if I don't know if you had 360 game, pretty sure you did. There was a similar family plan where you had multiple, I think 4 gamer tags under one family plan for like 100, a little over $100 a month, 100, not a month, but for a year, I believe, a little over $100. So something similar ish to that. Maybe be able to game share between the 4,
Yeah,
if that's possible.
that would be the biggest thing, because like right now, like keep in mind, I have I have twin boys, so each one of them has their own Xbox. So as it stands right now, I can only game share with one. So if I buy a copy of, like, let's say Elden Ring, only 2 of us can play. So if my other son wants to play, I have to buy a second copy. So hopefully they make something where it's kind of like Game Pass Ultimate, instead of it being like what we did for a couple of months, where we each had like a ultimate account, so we could play the games that we wanted on PC, we could play games on cloud that we wanted, and play games on the consoles that we wanted. Hopefully they have it where it's like, okay, if I do the like a parent account, let's say, or the household account, instead of it being 15 a month, if it's 20 a month, or maybe if it, as long as it's 30 or below, it makes sense for me, as long as I have each one of those gamer tags, the three of our gamer tags available for any of the PC games, any of the console games, and any of the cloud games. But ultimately, something between maybe a $5 bump or a $10 bump a month, and I can get at least three, maybe four gamer tags. Because right now my wife is still on PlayStation because that's her Netflix box. But if I can have three or four gamer tags under that monthly fee, where all of them have access to the games at the same time, so that way we could do a four-player co-op game if need
Yeah.
be, like I've done in the past with PS Plus for like Gauntlet, although that was more local play. But I want something where, hey, if everybody has their own console, we can all log in on the same internet, or even if it's not the same internet, as long as it's attached to that family account, we can play at the same time, and not have to worry about, well, who has the home console and things like that. I mean, game share is great for when it's just two people, or if you have multiple people but not playing at the same time or playing the exact same game. But when you have more than those two wanting to play the same game at the
It
same
gets
time,
tricky.
yeah,
It gets
exactly.
tricky. So no, once again, great question, Gabe. Great question. Great follow up, Fuzz. And Pong, I'm sure you want to elaborate on that as well. And once again, I'm same boat as Fuzz. Now I don't know how difficult, obviously, me not being a dev, I have zero experience as to how difficult this actually will be to pull off. But I know that the hurdle may be, well, you buy one game, four people can play it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, so it's kind of a like, well, how much is that going to cut into overall sales? But it's like you're still getting the engagement, you're still getting four players in the ecosystem, but you're getting one person buying one game for four people. So I don't know if there's going to be some logistics there. So Pong, I'll throw this over to you before we get into the next question from the chat.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Obviously, like you just said, PTK, I think from my standpoint, when I think about it, is how do you limit that? Because people will take advantage of whatever
Oh
you put
yeah.
out
Oh
there,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Game sharing has always been a gray area, but a lot of people do the game sharing
Yeah.
partnership. I have never done it personally, but obviously there's a ton of people in this community that do it. I mean, it is a great it's a great setup if you've got somebody you can trust and that you do it with. I think it's fantastic. So a family plan makes sense. It's just like you said, PTK, logistics wise, how do you limit it to certain IPs? I mean, what are you going to do to make sure that all of a sudden you don't have a Netflix situation where everybody's sharing, Netflix with everybody else, and that's a big part of the problem with Netflix, right? So I think that that's something they're probably working on and trying to figure out what the right balance is going to be, or how they're going to limit it and make sure that that it's not abused. I think that's the biggest thing. But obviously, again, for families, shout out to Fun Speculation, Caitlin, they have the same problem, right? They have more than one console. I mean, Mav's probably got, I think he's got between Series S's and Series X's, I think he's got four now or five, I think. So,
Wow.
you know, it's a problem because he can't, it's a mess trying to jump if he's in one room and wants to go to a different room.
Yeah.
Sometimes the games just don't transfer over, or if him and Caitlin are both playing at the same time, daughter can't play, right? So I think that there's got to be some kind of middle ground to be found. In I think it is in the obviously list of things to do for Phil and his team. I just don't know how high on that list it is. Um, but we'll find out. I think it would make perfect sense. It's the next evolution of Game Pass overall, and of the whole ecosystem, is finding something that will work for those families in a household where you are, like Fuzzy's the perfect example, where you may have three, four different consoles, but again, for a family, of course that's going to happen. And you want to give some type of benefit without, breaking the bank, because it's going to mean more for you in the end run if you do come up with a consumer friendly type of plan to make that happen. We saw it in the phone industry, right? The phone industry moved from cell phones when they first came out. There was no such thing as family plans, right? There was
No,
none of
hell
that.
no.
No, there was none
No.
of that, right? It was, so, but they eventually figured out a way to make it work where as a family, you guys can get some breaks, some discounts instead of having to have full price lines for everybody. You get a break and it just makes sense, right? So I think that they will figure this thing out sooner than later. I think it's coming at some point. I don't know if this year, but it would be nice, especially around the holiday season, to be able to announce that and say, "Hey, guess what? We figured it out." So,
Oh, that'd
yeah.
be a huge deal.
Yeah.
That'd be a big
Yeah.
deal. That'd be a big deal. Hey, so that could even just be a tweet, but you don't even really need much. That'll just run itself. So no, but shout out to chat, man. Shout out to everybody hanging out with us. We're taking questions. So if you're just coming in here, shout out to Ray, new face in the house. Shout out. So if you're just coming in here, hanging out with us, hit the like button, support. Subscribe if you enjoy what you're seeing here. We're gonna get into some more questions. So we got Ashtray the fraud. Shout out to Blue. I got your back, brother. We got we got Ashtray in here. He said thoughts on PlayStation's Game Pass now. Great segue. Fuzz, you just talked about this a minute ago. There's some rumblings next week. We're supposed to hear something, maybe, possibly, kind of, sort of, right? That's kind of how it goes. So, so we're. I mean, I guess I'll get mine out the way. There's a lot of stuff floating around, right? A lot of pictures and things like that of different price points and things, and I don't really know what to expect. Now, I do have some solid evidence as to where that's going to go. I think it's a good start. Obviously we all are probably going to touch on the first party issue, right? Not having that day one. I'm sure that's going to be people's biggest stumble. What's up, Boba Fett Gaming? Shout out to you, brother. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Jasper, shout out to you as well. So yeah, I mean, I think Fuzz, you're probably we're going to start there, maybe, because that's always been your biggest thing with the whole PlayStation Spartacus, and is it going to match? I think it's going to match up very well, and I think if we're being fair, it might get off to a faster start than even Game Pass did, as far as like overall, just like the amount of people, because they're really just converting over accounts at that point, right? Aren't they kind of converting over to PS Now, combining it with PlayStation Plus, and saying, "Hey, this is just one service now"?
Yeah, I think they'll have a faster head start as far as people that are signed up, just because if they do the complete conversion of, all right, everybody that's PS Now, you at least are like the middle tier or something like that. Whatever you have as far as a remaining balance, it'll be that particular subscription. And then for those that are just on the plus side of things, it's just you're basically going to stay. I guess that would be the bronze tier, or depending on which picture you go by that's floating around out there right now. But not having day and date kind of sucks, but I'm interested on how long of a game demo or game trial they have. Like if it's full on EA 10 hours, that might be enough. But then again,
they ain't gonna do that.
Especially with the not really controversy, but like people saying things like, oh, it's a one and done. I mean, if you give somebody 10 hours, a speedrunner is going to finish that game in that amount of time. But you might also get somebody hooked on it. Like, I don't think you can honestly finish Horizon Forbidden West in 10 hours, but you could probably get that person hooked. And then after you do that, is there a discount, or is it still the full $70 or whatnot? Like, I think when they make it an official thing, it would be nice to see how things pair up. Like, are you getting a discount after you play the demos? Are you getting a discount on any of their first party stuff being a member? I know they were transitioning some of the PS Now stuff to be downloadable so you could play it locally as opposed to streaming. How much more of that are they going to advance that? Like, are they going to have it where everything is downloadable, but you could still play it in the cloud kind of thing? So it's interesting. I don't think it will really, come into its own until like a year or two out. But I think from a beginning standpoint, it will be enough to keep the PlayStation fans that were bad mouthing Game Pass. I'm pretty sure they'll check it out and they'll be like, "Oh, it doesn't change from what I already had. I already had PS Plus and PS Now, so this is nothing different." But I think overall, I think it will be a benefit. And hey, anytime there's competition, us as gamers, we're going to benefit. So hey, that might put more screws to Game Pass, although I don't see it initially. But if they start, you know, converting people over and they can say, oh, we got 20 million subscribers, even though we just converted everybody or a majority of people over, that might give people over at Xbox a little bit more kick in the pants to kind of, either release that family plan or do something more. To add even more value to what Game Pass has currently, or have even better perks or something along those lines. But for me, I still have yet to activate my PS Now card that I bought for a year. I bought it like a year subscription. Yet to activate it. I've already did one renewal on PS Plus since I've had my PS5. Kind of curious to see how everything shakes out. Like, is it going to be kind of like, oh, $1 and it's an upgrade kind of thing to convert however many months I have left of this year and next year and whatnot? But yeah, we'll see.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, and we definitely want to get your opinion on, possible PlayStation Spartacus. As far as code name, as far as we know, who knows what the final name will be. I'm sure we'll see soon, right? So there's rumblings. We should see something next week. I'm hoping we are. That's going to be exciting. I definitely want to see how it's going to not necessarily match up, but just what they have to offer. For PlayStation fans and how everything's going to shake out. So where you at on this, Pong? We've talked about this once again multiple times on the show. So once again, if you're new here, you're getting your first taste of the Shop Podcast panel's opinion on this. So go ahead, Pong.
Yeah, so this is a big deal. A public reveal next week is going to melt down the internet. It's going to start the subscription war.
We're moving from console war to
Yeah,
subscription war.
yeah, it's exactly. I mean, the narrative's already changed. I've already seen some of the clown show today. I got curious and did some digging to see what was.
Oh, you went to the baloney section?
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Oh
I've got them
man.
all. I've got the majority of it all muted at this
Oh
point, but
man.
I do dive in there just to see how they're going to move the goalposts, and it's already begun. So this is going to be another one of those annoying things that happen. But at the end of the day, we have talked about this PTK. We've talked about this at length here. Um, as far as what to expect, we always said that it was not going to be a one for one kind of deal when it came to an actual competitor to Game Pass, that Sony really can't do that. Now, interestingly enough, last year in an interview, Phil, talked about that he believed that Sony would go to a day and date version of the subscription. I think that that's something in the future. I think it's going to be select titles. I don't think it's going to be everything. I've stated that on record, but I do eventually see them, if they get a big enough subscriber base, to prove to the Sony higher ups that this is sustainable, that they would start doing that. Again, we always think of Jim Ryan as the only person calling the shots. Look, Jim has to answer to a board, and that board has a very traditional, old school mentality, Eastern style mentality, because that's who they are. The Sony board is a group of older gentlemen. I'm not going to say all of them because I don't know specifically all of them, but I'm going to say that there is a very large group that have been around for a very long time. Jim has to convince that these changes are good for PlayStation. If Jim was the only one calling the shots, I can guarantee you it'd be a one. They would try for a one for one. Again, content wise, number of studios, they can't, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Sony still would not succeed, because Sony has a lot of mind share still to this day going for them. And it's going to be an easy conversion, which both you and Fuzzy just touched on. They could instantly jump in the first year to that 20-25 million mark if they do this right. And that's going to be appealing for a lot of different people. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a slower evolution of this. This is just a dipping of the toes into the water of a subscription service for Sony. So what they're going to do here, so they're going to offer what they can offer. I think Grub was spot on. I think it's going to be a three-tiered. I think the three-tiered system that we are seeing screenshots of is more likely than the 4chan four-tiered system, which is god awful. I definitely think that the three-tier that Grub initially talked about and others talked about is going to be the one they go with. And I think the $16 will be the high point Now, if you compare the $16 one, the high watermark to the Xbox Ultimate $15 a month, again, there's no comparison as far as value goes. But for Sony fans and people already in that ecosystem, that doesn't matter. Okay. They're going to flip over. They're going to convert. They're going to say, hey, this is great value for me. I'm happy with what I'm getting. Glad Sony added this. Like you said, PTK, I'm already subscribed to PS Plus. I may already be subscribed to PS Now. I'm just going to automatically convert over, and this is going to be great for me because I'm just getting some additional things involved, right? That's all that matters, right? To start. And I think that Sony is going to lean into the third party publishers, which is where things do get interesting, right? Because the publishers are so aware of Game Pass and what it does for games. You attach a Sony brand name to that, which they're all comfortable with, very, some of them very cozy with Sony. Look, Sony can come out the first year and say, hey, we've already got 20 million, 25 million people already converted over to our highest tier. That's going to be appealing for a third-party publisher the same way it is appealing to a publisher when it looks at Game Pass. So Sony's going to then be at war. I'll put it that way. Again, it's not a word we should probably use these days, but it is what it is. For me, it is what it is. I understand what it means. Business is war in a lot of ways. What's going to happen is that now, like Fuzzy just said, it may shake up Game Pass even a little bit more, and Phil and his team over at Microsoft and Xbox, because now they are going to be fighting for third-party publishing games to get into Game Pass. So they're going to have to start cutting better deals. They're going to have to get ahead of the game and start calling these third-party publishers more and saying, hey, look, you're thinking about going over to Sony, and I don't know if they made an offer yet, but you need to hear us out to get that game into Game Pass, right? And I think that that's what's going to be interesting, and I love these chess moves. That's one of the big things about business I always love is this back and forth. And with Sony finally coming to play, again, not one for one, not the same type of service out the gate, but jumping into the fray where Game Pass has kind of been alone, all by itself. Yes, there's EA Play, there's Ubisoft Plus, but let's be real. Somebody did, I think during GDC, they put out a graph of all the different services out there, the subscription services, and Game Pass has 60% of the market right now, right? So that's a lion's share. Sony has a real chance to break into that, right? And kind of carve out their own piece. And Xbox is going to have to be forward thinking. Yes, they are going to have more first party content. Yes, they're going to have more to offer. But again, when it comes to this, Game Pass is in a growth mode right now. So having Sony as a competitor in there, also trying to grow their service, that means good things for us gamers, right? At the end of the day. So I'm happy about this. Again, I'm not going to be happy about the nonsense that's going to happen when this is finally launched. If they go, and again, I never say never. You know that. People here know that for sure. I never say never. So if they happen, if that 4-tier system that we've seen floating around is real, and their top tier is going to be $20 per month, $60 for every 3 months, that is going to be a fail. That's going to be a trip. That's going to be a stumble right out the gates. That is not good. Okay. Now, like I said, I never say never because we've seen Sony do this in their past. And there might be people above Jim Ryan saying, hey, we don't like your 3 tiers. We want to go this route. And Jim going, yeah, they ain't going to work. And the higher ups, as they do, just like they did with the PS3 and the cell processor and the $600 price point, override Jim Ryan, say, no, Jim, we want this. Well, if that comes out next week, guess what? There's going to be fire everywhere. It's going to be meltdown mode because that is not the way they should be approaching this. Yeah, go ahead.
There's some things here that I want to highlight too, kind of piggybacking off what you said. There's going to be some uncomfortable conversations that have to be had. Whether doesn't matter which direction this Spartacus stuff goes, right?
Right.
There are going to be some because once again, you have to your console, the console that you play on, is now doing a very similar thing to which you just to which you've said that wasn't beneficial to the industry. So you have to talk about it now.
Correct. Absolutely. 100%.
So I mean, go ahead, Pong.
No, 100%. Gabe, How long has Game Pass been around? Still in growth mode? Gabe-O, they're shooting for 2 billion to 3 billion people. You may not believe it. I don't know what your mindset is with what Xbox and Microsoft have been talking for all these years, but yeah, they're still in growth mode, right? They want to reach 2 billion, 3 billion people. Now, I'm not, again, Phil reiterated, he's not thinking that all those people are just going to have Game Pass, right? But yeah, they want to get to the next Netflix levels, 100 million plus people into Game Pass. So yeah, this is growth mode for them. Absolutely, it is. Netflix didn't happen overnight. That just doesn't work out. Now we saw kind of what I was talking about when Sony's jumping in here. We saw that kind of reaction with Disney Plus, right?
Yeah, Disney did it way faster,
instantaneously, almost
like a
overnight.
year and a half. I think it was
Right.
like a year and a half. They hit 100 mil.
Exactly, because of the content they had, because of the name attached to it. That's why I'm saying Sony out the
Disney
gates.
is magic, bro.
Yeah, Disney is magic. But Sony with PlayStation naming, depending on how they present this, could absolutely have those type of Game Pass numbers real quick, right? Versus what Xbox had to do, which was a slower growth pattern, which is how Netflix started out as well. So yeah, Gabo, they are still in a growth phase. They're going to be in a growth phase for years to come because they're not going to be satisfied with the status quo. Phil, Satya, they all have said that. They're no longer looking at that. That's why they created Game Pass. The console market itself is capped, right? Around 150, 160 million, whatever the heck it is at this point. It's capped. They're looking to go beyond that with Game Pass. So yeah, this is going to be a growth phase for them for a long time to come. Like I said, Sony does have some advantages where they just convert people over. But yeah, there's some uncomfortable talks to be had, PTK, because again, paying for demos or trials, look, come on. what year? I mean, again, EA Play does that, right? They give us the 10-hour trial, but they also give us their entire back catalog as well, right? So we get games that are 6 months to a year old dropping from EA in there. And none of what's being said that Sony's going to present even hints that that's even the case, that we'll see a first-party title drop in there after a year, right? We haven't heard anything about that. We'll need official word on that. But if all they're offering really is game streaming, you're going to pay for game streaming now? Okay. Game streaming that's been around for a long time. Okay. Anyways, game streaming, nobody wants to stream their games. That was a problem with PS Now, right? That was one of the big hiccups with PS Now. People wanted that native download.
Gaikai, huh?
Correct. Gaikai was a big investment for them that never panned out, right? Just didn't seem to pan out. So, but paying for demos, paying for game streaming, that ain't going to necessarily cut it in this day and age. That's why I think personally they're going to lean into the third parties. I think with this announcement, they're going to have some third parties on board. Square Enix absolutely is going to be there. Yeah. And I think that's how they're going to say, hey, we want you to come in. Yes, we're not giving you day and date, but we are making deals with third parties. So you can expect some big titles.
Maybe the next. Well, no. Destiny said it was going to keep everything on everywhere. Never mind.
But it still could be offered. DLC could still be offered in there, right? That's the whole
kind of like what they did with, for Game Pass for a little bit.
Correct. Yeah, they did with Game Pass for a little while. We'll be on light. You're right.
Yep, exactly. And I think that's what they're going to lean into. And I think they're going to do that to the nth degree as much as they can. I think they will spend their money to make sure because PTK, it's one thing to convert everybody, but as we all know, and I talked about this morning too, is that we're not in the early days of subscription services. Everybody is used to looking at their bills monthly and seeing those subscription services. People used to back in the day, they had 1, 2, maybe 3 subscription services and they just let them roll, right? They didn't even think about them.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about people having 10, 12, 15 different subscription
crazy,
services.
Dude. It's gotten out of hand.
Exactly. So now people are trained to really analyze that. And if they're not using a subscription service, if there's nothing there of value that they're holding on to, they're more than likely to cancel that subscription service these days than they were in the past. So what do you have to do? You have to have something that's keeping people subscribed. Getting everybody to convert is one thing, but keeping them there and keeping them happy so they don't do that whole unsubscribe, wait for the next big thing to be announced and then subscribe and then unsubscribe again. That's always
Well,
going
that
to be
goes
the
into
key.
them. That goes into them leaning into these multiplayer focused games that they've been talking about
Yes,
as well too.
correct. The
So
games as a service,
all
like
that games as a service,
Gran Turismo
yeah,
7.
Gran Turismo, surprise,
Yep.
surprise.
and I will say this on top of everything we've talked about. I said it before all of this came about, before Gran Turismo launch. I did say, and I still think I have an inkling that they're going to entice people with a game that might be first party out the gate, and that might be Gran Turismo at this point, since they've admitted that it's a live service game. They may offer that sooner than later into that service,
That would
like
be
this year. You know what I'm
that might
saying?
inject some
Yep.
much needed energy though into the actual game. So we'll see how that pans out though, man. We got so much going on in chat right now. Shout out to everybody, man, hanging out in chat. Shout out to you, Galaxy, Ray Old, man, Shonsu, Ashtray in there. Yeah, we're just hanging out here, man. This is what we do Saturday evening. So if you're new, once again, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button. You can always donate. That's always a possibility. You can join, be a part of the shop podcast as well. You get some cool emotes, things like that. So appreciate you guys hanging out with us, man. So what else we got on the docket, chat? What else did we not cover tonight? Anything, Fuzz, Pong? Pong, I know you were throwing, the DMs were going crazy today with stuff you were putting in there, man. I was like, what the hell's going on? I thought like sometimes you like sometimes, Pong, like you'll get on like a cadence with your like,
yeah,
and I'm like, man, what is going on? Like I'm checking Twitter constantly, like trying to figure out what's going on. So you got a lot you were throwing in there. So anything in there or anything?
Whenever you see that happen, that means I've had a moment at work where I'm free to actually do it, because I don't have those moments as much as I used to. So then I'm like dropping everything that I'm finding in there just to make sure that everybody's aware of what's going on. So I try to do that when I can.
Yeah.
Look, you want to have a little fun one? You want to have a little fun? You want to go to Speculation Town? You want to get out the crystal ball?
Here we go.
A little something that I did drop into the DMs for you, PTK, but I did not drop the follow-up, which happened on Xbox Ultimate last night while we were talking about this. But this is a fun one. This is a little cool one. Not for everybody. Not everybody's going to go, oh, wow, really? But again, you know me, Mr. RTS, right? Mr. Strategy Game. Excited for Crusader Kings 3 dropping on Tuesday, right? Whatever else. You know me. And we've talked about this too. This being the golden age, we are seeing a resurgence of RTS titles coming to the consoles, which is fan-freaking-tastic, right? Let me tell you. So, funny little thing happened yesterday. Jez had put out a tweet earlier in the day that said, thinking about the future, and then put the thinking emoji up, right? He deleted that tweet. About an hour later, okay, then he puts out, and again, take all of this with a grain of salt, people. I'm just having some fun here because we got some extra time and we're talking, right? So I'm just having some fun because I like this stuff. Then Jez puts out a tweet that says Age of Mythology was pretty cool. Okay. All right. Now listen, Age of Mythology might not be a household name to a lot of people, but for anybody who's playing RTSs back in the day, Age of Mythology by Ensemble Studios, who was bought by Microsoft and was folded after they completed their work on Halo Wars, 1. And they had been working on, which I also threw in the DMs, which I did not remember or think about. They were working on a Halo MMO back in 2006, 2007, which is crazy. Some of the artwork is out there. I posted that on my Twitter. But anyways, Age of Mythology was a huge RTS. It was successful. It sold over 1 million copies, which back then was a big deal. It was like 99, I think, when Age of Mythology first came out. It had subsequent DLC drop. Age of Mythology is a cool RTS where you get to pick different factions based upon gods. Okay, so you had Egyptian gods, you had Greek gods, you had Viking gods, and you would pick your culture based upon that god. And you had superpowers, like you could turn like villages into sheep, you could call tornadoes, depending on what god you chose within that mythology. Age of Mythology was huge back in the day. Obviously, Microsoft bought it. Ensemble Studios, they bought Ensemble Studios, folded. We haven't had an Age of Mythology. So for Jez, again, Jez is an RTS fan as well, but for him to bring up Age of Mythology and say Age of Mythology was pretty cool, well, guess what? Now this is the part that gets, this is where it makes me stop First, his tweet made me kind of pause, but then I dead stopped on Xbox Ultimate last night because Jeff Grubb quote tweeted Jez's Age of Mythology tweet and said, "Could be cool again." Look, these two have been known in the past. Not everything is a leak. Not everything is a hint. Plenty of times, Jez has just put benevolent tweets out there just to have some fun. But usually, when him and Grubb both know something, they do have a little back and forth. This happened with Forza Horizon 5, if you all remember. Jez says, thinking about taking a trip to Mexico, right? And Jeff Grubb added to that, quote tweeted him and added to that because they both knew Forza Horizon 5 was going to be set in Mexico before the announcement. So this does happen. So this just is a cool little thing for our RTS fans out there. Again, I'm saying take it with a grain of salt. They've done this as, just having fun before, but I think there's something to this. I think that potentially one of the studios that we've heard working on titles for Xbox and Microsoft could be reviving Age of Mythology. And my God, I'm excited. Like, I quote tweeted Jeff Grubb and said, please make this real. Okay. So I really hope this happens. Again, golden age of gaming. Things are coming out of the woodwork, right? Old school IP that we haven't seen for a while is getting made again. We've heard about all this resurgence of things, like I said, strategy, RTS games showing up on consoles again, which hasn't happened really a lot since the 360 PS3 era. Things are moving again. I love to see this stuff. So that was kind of fun.
So shout out to you, man. I love the fact that you're into, like I said, my palate's kind of grown since, as I've gotten older. So I love to hear different takes, and to hear your passion about RTSs makes me want to dive in, even though I have no idea what I'd be doing. But once again, man, I just golden age of gaming, like you said, at the end of the day. So I want to get into this one because I know Fuzzy's ass is gonna go crazy. I know Fuzzy. So shout out to you, Gabe Bo, man, been hanging out with us all night. And shout out to everybody in chat right now, man. Everybody been hanging out, having a ton of fun. So Gabe Bo said, what do you think of yesterday's update to GT7 and the upcoming April update in April? So, Fuzz has had a love-hate relationship with Gran Turismo lately. I mean, it's well documented. Go ahead. I wish I had like a rewind the tape situation. I could just clip in maybe a clip of what he said last week, because it is comedy gold. So we'll give you the floor on this one.
All right. So the $1 million that they've given us for the 30 hours that the servers was down, it's okay. They could have done a little bit more, I think, but it's a start. As far as the increasing the payouts for a lot of the events, many of them 100% increase possibly. I think that's a step in the right direction. That definitely helps with the grind, let's just say, especially considering you have to buy not just the cars, but the parts for the cars to modify them and make them more competitive. So it definitely is a step in the right direction. Could they have gone further? Oh yeah, they could have gone a lot further. Like, we still haven't heard complete confirmation on selling cars, even though it's listed on the website that you can sell cars. As far as the price of the legendary cars is still going to be 18 million to 20 plus million on some of them. So that $1 million that they gave us, good luck with that. You're going to need to grind still a good bit more to get the higher price legendary cars. But it's nice to see that they've responded or reacted to the community uproar. But I still think that there's more to be done. We'll see how it goes in April. Like, if I look at it this way, as long as the payouts and the grind is about what it was in GT Sport, give or take, I'll be fine. I'm not a fan of the microtransactions, considering the ridiculous increase as far as not just the price on the cars, but the pricing structure for your dollar. Like, a $3 million car used to be $5. Now it's, almost $20 or $20 plus to $40 type of range. That's definitely not, it doesn't look like they're budging on that, but that's still something that should not be in place on the $70 game. If this was a free to play, which kind of like what Pong was saying, if this is something that they throw into their Spartacus plan, which I can kind of see, but man, they better for those that bought the game, we better get like a couple of those $3 million cars a month or something along those lines to kind of make up the difference for going from a $70 game to a free game on something that most of us probably already have PS Plus, because to play half the game you have to have PS Plus to play it. But step in the right direction, but there's more to be done. I just wish they wouldn't have bothered with this whole convoluted, games as a service. Hey, let's try to see how much we can, milk or screw our customers type of thing. But that's all I have on it. We'll see in April. But
Yeah.
I'm in a happier mood, but still not 100% happy. But game still plays fine. So
Fuzz,
there's
it'd be
that.
interesting too, thinking on that. Like, I understand what the pushback would be, obviously offering that game, but a lot like Game Pass. I mean, we've had games that we paid full price for, not first party, obviously, but we've had games that we paid full price for and dropped in there. What if they did like a cut down version of it though? If they did like a trimmed down version, right? Like a sport version
Yeah.
of that, and offered it in there, and then offered the ability to buy the rest of the game at a discounted price, that might work, right?
They tried that with Drive Club, and
Yeah.
they kind of messed it up, because somebody like me that bought the full game with all the DLC,
Yeah.
I would have to delete the CD copy where
Right.
it required the disc to go to the digital copy. But
Right.
then I would still have to pay another $40 or $50, I think, back then to upgrade it when I already have the CD. So it's not, it's almost like it overwrote that I had the CD version of the game. So as long as they make it so it's not as much of a headache,
Oh, come
because
on. PlayStation fans are used to that by now, right? Save transfers and
Oh
everything else.
wow,
Come on, man.
strays,
Come
catching
on.
strays. Why you taking
Where's
throwing
my
shots? That's
save?
unnecessary, Paul. Absolutely unnecessary. What's up,
Yeah,
Mr.
but
Timo? What's up,
that
Boba Fett, man?
yeah, but if a cut down version of the game would be pretty cool. I mean, it's going to suck for us that already bought the game, but hey,
Yeah.
it's like you said, it's part of the business at this point for a PlayStation customer paying the extra amount. But
Right, exactly. Yeah.
but at least that way, it would get more people involved in the online lobbies. So if you're looking to do a race with friends, or just get into, let's say, a less serious race than full on sport, then yeah, it would be a good direction for them to take it. But it still would come across a little slimy to us that
Yeah.
paid full price. But still,
Yeah.
it'd be
Just another
worthwhile.
day in the life. Buzz.
Yeah, right.
Another
Oh,
day
here
in the
we go.
life.
Here we go. So we're going to take one more question, chat. Then we're going to wrap this thing up, man. It's been a phenomenal show so far. You guys have been doing such a great job. We'll probably actually just start doing this where you guys just run the remaining portion of the show, just to keep interactive up and interaction up. I mean, and just kind of like give you guys the keys. That you guys are why we're here. So that's what we'll do. If you guys enjoy it, let me know. Like I said, hit the thumbs up button, hit the like, subscribe if you haven't already. So we'll take one more question. So if anybody got any question, a really good one, let us off here, let us out on one really, really good question, and we'll follow up, and we'll close it out here. But it's been a great show so far. Week's been good for you guys as well, hopefully. So we'll wait for one here, unless you guys got one, Pong or Fuzz, that we didn't really get a chance to get into.
Ubisoft leak or the upcoming stuff. They still have the Division mobile game to unveil. They took Tom Clancy out of the X Defiant, which I don't know if that's going to leave much of a personality to it, but hey, it's at least a start in the right direction, I guess. But
Yeah, we got Battlefield. Oh, we got Battlefield.
yeah.
Starting
Oh
over from
Lord,
scratch.
yeah,
Oh, I've been ranting about that already for a couple of shows. That's great.
yeah.
That's great. What else we got? Got the Ubisoft. We got that. We got let's see, Star Wars not having online
Well,
play. We
Hellboy
got,
just dropped a kind of a
Yeah.
fun one in the chat.
yeah, shoot.
He said favorite Batman game just of all time. I think he assumes. Favorite Batman game of all time. I'll go first. I'm gonna go ahead and go with well. Let's see. Probably Arkham City, just for the exploration.
Mm.
I know some people weren't big fans of Arkham City, but I was. I enjoyed the exploration. The clues around the city, and it was very, very well made game. Obviously, it built on top of that great foundation around the combat, but I enjoyed the larger world to kind of go run around into. So I think I would say Arkham City. So Fuzz, Pong, you guys want to?
Arkham Knight, but that's mainly because that was one of the few of the ones that I bought, and I bought that last gen for my PS4, and like that they had so many free skins that they did for a bit, and just the I guess it was like the not the Joker, the Riddler DLC and stuff like that was pretty cool, but the driving of the Batmobile was a little bit more my thing as far as the way they handled, but overall Arkham Knight was probably the main one that I played the most out of all of them.
Okay, all right. Where you at on that, Fuzz? I mean, not Fuzz, but Pong.
Well, again, Arkham Knight. I like Arkham Knight because I love the combat system from Rocksteady. Right,
Mhm.
the dance, the rhythm is one of the best created. It wasn't necessarily the first that did that. However, I think Rocksteady really perfected it, and I think there's nothing that a lot of games have come close, but I think Arkham Knight still stands above the rest when you get into a flow in that game. However, that game for me again I didn't I didn't click with me. And again, I'm not a big superhero guy in general when it comes to games specifically and the newer movies and all that kind of stuff. So for me, it's tough. I'll just go with a nostalgia one here because I'll go with Lego Batman.
Mhm.
Because
Hey,
me,
that counts. That
yeah,
absolutely counts. I've played plenty of those. Those are amazing
yeah,
games.
yeah, and that goes back to me and my kiddo playing together, right? We had so much fun on Lego Batman. That was when he was 8 years old. It was released in 2008. So just a fantastic time. And that's when Telltale Games was at their coming into their peak, right? And so Lego Batman was just a great story. Mechanics were fantastic. And it was just one of the I played a ton of Lego
And
games,
Batman didn't
trust me,
even talk.
but Lego stood out. Huh?
He didn't even. I don't even think he talked in that game, right? Didn't
No,
he
no,
get
that was
every
back when
dialogue?
they still did the
But it
mumbles,
was
right?
amazing, though. You could
Yes.
get
Yep.
everything. There was so much emotion. You could tell what was going on. Like
Yep.
it was. Yeah,
I really love that game. So I'm gonna
yeah.
go outside the box and go Lego Batman.
I like that choice. I like that. I definitely did. Wouldn't even never thought of that. I like
So
that choice. So I second that choice for sure. So I think we're gonna go ahead and he said it's Traveler's Tale, not Telltale. Yeah, Telltale is
yeah, sorry
Walking
again, my
Dead.
brain's not
Traveler's
working.
Tale. Yeah,
Sorry.
no, it's
Yeah,
all
that
good.
was
No big
sorry.
deal, Jasper. Shout out to the correction there, brother. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap the show up on that note, man. So you guys once again let us out on a good note here, man. Appreciate you guys watching the show. It was just us three this week, so hopefully next week we should have a guest. I'm gonna get somebody lined up here shortly, so we should have one. So I'll let you guys know early in the week. Keep it locked on my Twitter account. All of the information down in the description below, man. You guys rocked out tonight. Chat was amazing. The show got better as the night went on, as it typically does here on the Shop Podcast. So once again, if it was your first time, hit the like button, subscribe, hit that little bell, that notification bell. That lets you know when we're live here on Saturday. I know the time zone's a bit funky because I'm in AZ, so I'm sorry about that. So that's why that notification bell is important. That way you guys are notified. It doesn't matter what time it is, you guys are notified, and we'll see when we're here live at the Shop Podcast. But I'm gonna go ahead and give the floor to my two compatriots here. So we'll start with you, Pong. Once again, bringing that energy. I know you said you were a little low, a little below. I didn't feel
Yeah,
any of that
I'm
this
under
week,
the
bro.
weather, man. Yeah,
That
yeah.
is this the under the week weather? I don't know. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
know about that, man.
I buck up. I'm Gen X, right? So we buck up. We just power through things. So that's the way it is. So no, this is a great show. Thanks, PTK. Appreciate it. I wouldn't miss this. You know that unless I can't speak. Which earlier in the week, my voice started to go, and I was warning steel. I'm like Saturday morning might get dicey. But no, I love being here. I love talking games. It does energize me. Like I said, the same thing happened this morning at Living Split Screen. Told Steele he was going to have to carry the show, and he did. He did carry the show. But by 30 minutes in, I was excited again because we were talking what I love and what I'm passionate about, which is this whole entire industry. And we've got great people in the chat adding to that conversation. I love every bit of doing this. So it does help me overcome anything that, if I'm feeling under the weather. So great show tonight. Thank you, Fuzzy and PTK, for your thoughts and conversation as always, man. It's a big part of my week here. Chat again, you guys were all amazing. I love every single one of you. Thank you and respect. Nothing but respect for you coming out each and every week and supporting us and seeing all the familiar faces just brings me nothing but joy and happiness. So appreciate y'all. You can find me Pong Soul, Xbox, Twitter. Otherwise, Tuesday this week, I don't think I'm going to be on Xbox Factor podcast. please go check out, obviously, most people by now in this community know Double Barrel Gaming. Boomstick, of course, is the man. Please go check out Xbox Factor Podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, Tuesdays. Mav is there when he can. Boxenberger, VJ, Mr. Joanna Dark, and of course, Boom himself and myself, although Tuesdays are getting kind of rocky for me right now, business, real life-wise, I should say. So anyways, that is Xbox Factor. Thursday nights, it's PM in the PM, Fun Speculations channel, Pong and Mav in the PM, two-man show. Great time on Thursday nights. He and I are going to deep dive 1, 2, maybe 3 topics. Again, we get the chat involved. It's a free-flowing conversation between him and I, off the cuff about, a couple topics that we want to talk about. It's a great time on Thursday nights, and we got an awesome community over there that Fun Speculation has built over the past year and a half, 2 years now. Please join us there, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock Central Time, Thursday nights. Friday nights, Xbox Ultimate back over on Fun Speculations channel, the Great 8. We had actually 7 of us there last night. 3-Bit even showed his face. And of course, Fuzzy, brother from another Fuzzy, had joined us as a guest. So we had a great time on Xbox Ultimate Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Go check that out if you didn't check out the last episode. It's always a great conversation there on Friday nights. Otherwise, Saturday mornings, you've heard me reference it many, many times. Living Split Screen, my brother from another, Steel Rain, and I wake you up and get your Saturday started. If you're in the UK, you've already started your Saturday, but we're going to keep your afternoon going. But really, we have this big community now. We're headed towards Mission 1K. We want to get to 1K. We're almost at 500. It's been slower growth because Steele and I can't do anything else time-wise. So, hey, we do one show a week, but we're going to give you our best. 3+ hours. Today's show is 4.5 hours. Parts of our community have us in the background while they're driving, while they're working, while they're doing chores, Saturday morning chores, whatever the case is. Drop in, tell a friend, come by, see if you like it. You're going to get this energy. Steele is even more so than I am. He's my hype man. But we just have a great time, and we interact with chat. We had tons of conversations today. So check out Living Split Screen. Split Screen is all one word, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Saturdays, every Saturday that we can, we are there. We just did episode 49. Next week is episode 50. I can't believe we've done that many episodes already. But please stop in. Otherwise, I'll be back here next week, of course, on the Shop Podcast, God willing. Hey, it's the golden age of gaming. Gonna get it tattooed maybe someday. It's the golden age of gaming, right? So please enjoy this time as a gamer. Play what you love what you play, and I will talk to you all real soon. Thank you.
Appreciate your poem and always bringing energy every week. So please support Living Split Screen. Once again, keeping Saturdays entertaining for you guys. So show some support. Shout out to Steele. He was out here in chat as well. So shout out to him. Always in here supporting us. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz, let everybody know what you got cooking up for the rest of the week.
Oh man, this was a great show, great chat. Thank you guys for the questions. It was awesome having that. Always awesome being here with you, PTK and Pong. Man, it was also great being on Mav's show, the Xbox Ultimate last night with Pong and Mav and 3-Bit and everybody from the family over there. But man, for anybody that wants to hear my ramblings on Gran Turismo or Forza or any games in general, just follow me on Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere or go to my YouTube at Fuzzy_Belvedere. We'll be on Breakfast with Boom next Friday on 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and look forward to being back here again at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Shop Podcast with my family. Man, it was awesome being here, guys.
I appreciate you every single week bringing energy as well. And last but not least, your boy PTK Blam across the board, man. Follow me on Twitter. Poll of the week every single Monday. Once again, hopefully we get a guest next week. So we always like to have a good time. So shout out to all the new people that stopped in today. Saw some new faces. So hopefully you guys were entertained. Will join us once again next week. So same place, same time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.